Sorry about the late notice on scheduling this thing, but I decided that I would just make a spontaneous live video rather than my usual video, like I've been doing for 10 years. And let me just say, first off, apologies for being 5 minutes late. Seems to be the way it is. I had to gather a few more thoughts and finish doing the dishes. Um, I tried to mark it like, a half an hour ahead after I had this idea that I wanted to make a video. And I had a few things I wanted to discuss, but I really wanted to keep it somewhat neutral and open as an open discussion. So I hope everyone's doing well today. It's Saturday, the 14th. I guess yesterday was Friday the 13th. I didn't realize that till my wife pointed it out, but there's been a lot going on. Let's just say with most people that I've talked to, they've had an interesting year. I mentioned this the other day, but I haven't really been extremely affected by COVID, except for I've been trying to look at it as a positive thing. So, in other words, my wife, she we might have to shut down restaurants again. So I'm trying to think, okay, I could sit here and complain about everything that's going on, or I could use the tools that I've learned and try to make it into something positive, which is how we took a month off and went on a trip this last summer. It was great. Went camping and enjoyed ourselves and didn't have to worry about uh, the what ifs. We create our own reality to an extent. But what I really wanted to talk about here, and I'm hoping that I can convey how I feel about these things. Um, yeah, so what does he say? Kate Brown lays it down. Frank says, "Hi, Frank. Hey, Daniel. How you doing?" Yeah, Kate Brown, she is, I really can't stand her. And I know, I live on the West Coast and she's liberal, and I'm more liberal than not, but I still just cringe every time she speaks. Talking about shutting down restaurants and bars and stuff, it's just, we're adults. We've been through this before with COVID. Here we go again. And I live in Washington across the bridge, so we have Inslee. Now, look, I respect the guy. I try to be reasonable. Like I talked to my brother earlier, I said I really see shutting down the schools as an option in areas where there's bad infection rate. But as for shutting down people's businesses, livelihood, we've tried that. It doesn't work. People don't like it. So we move forward. We hope adults. We've already put up all these like fucking barriers and everything, right? But all of this COVID shit is bringing us a lot of stress right now. Even if we don't, whether we believe in it, don't believe in it, think it's dangerous or not, all of us are affected by the repercussions of the existence of the belief in it. So, going to the store, there's certain rules, going to restaurants, and I think that the government should really just stay out of the business aspect of it right now. But I really don't want to get into COVID here. I wanted to talk about stress and the stress that it brings upon us, because anxiety is one of those things that I've faced a lot in my life. In my early 30s, I went through a bunch of bullshit. I met my wife when I was 23. I thought I had it all figured out when I was young. Got into my 30s and started realizing, wait, life isn't what I thought it was. Some of the things I thought were true aren't. I never had any beliefs. It's not about religion or whether I believed in government or anything like that, although that was, since I was young, I've been well aware the government doesn't give a shit about the people. Um, all you have to do is learn history and a little bit of psychology to realize that somebody will always take advantage of a power vacuum. There's no way around it. But that adds to the stress of where we're at right now. People want to live their lives in comfort. They want to live their lives to be left alone, but they also want to be left alone by their neighbors and other people. So along come a group of people who just say, live and let live. Let's do this theoretical kind of thought, and I'm going to make this up as I go along, so follow me here. A guy sitting in the guy that just lives in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Along comes a couple of people who are looking for a homestead, and they come across this guy's property. And at first he's defensive, but they get to talking, and he says, well, it'd be nice to have companionship around, people to help protect against the wildlife. So they build a cabin next door, down the way. You see where I'm going with this. Over a period of time, several cabins are built. The people build a fortress. They are able to defend each other, take turns. They have different trades. One person can be the roofer, one person can build the houses. Eventually, outsiders come and they say, wow, these guys have a really nice thing going here. We should take it. But fortunately, the city ahead of time has hired people as guards to stand guard, protect them, and to let them know if any, you know, enemies are coming. This is what society is. It's a very rudimentary version of how we got to where we're at. So the people that want to talk about anarchy or the Wild West, like libertarianism, somebody said this the other day, libertarianism is just a very fine hair away from anarchy. And it basically is, because somebody always wants to take charge. Punk rock always covers this fine. Like, I remember a NoFX line just popped into my head. If somebody takes charge, you'll be expected to beat them. And, you know, that's a hard one because we live with, you know, leadership in our society. And we expect leaders to tell us what to do. Something I was not aware of, how many people really needed a leader to tell them how to live their lives. I had no clue until I got older, and I thought, wow, people aren't as free-minded and open-minded as I thought. People can be very shut down about society. And I'm not talking about, you know, in a political way. I'm talking in many different ways. We deny everything that we see, we hear, we feel, if it doesn't agree with our bias. And that sucks, but hey, it's the way it is. So we're trying to mend that. I think that a lot of people are trying to kind of get over that, but this is important because stress deals with these issues. When we stress out in life, when we're anxious about things, like I should back up for a minute. When I was in my 30s, as I said, in my early 30s, I went through a phase where I was very anxious. I went to the doctor even to say, oh, I'm anxious. And I remember thinking back on this, I feel like a complete idiot for allowing a doctor to even try to diagnose me in my mind. Maybe it was just my subconscious or conscious trying to get me some Valium, because Valium was the only thing that ever worked for me. When I take Valium or Xanax, but it's shorter acting, I prefer Valium over Klonopin or Xanax or any of the benzodiazepines. I even tried clonazepam, and I ordered some through the mail. I mean, I flushed it down the toilet. That shit will fuck you up. You forget who you are. You forget where you're at. You wake up in weird places or in weird situations. Not me personally, but I've heard enough stories, and I've forgotten certain evenings from taking Valium, so I don't take it anymore. But it really helped. It helped me. Small amounts help me to drive in the right lane, to stay, to not get frustrated, to not get angry. But there's a certain passivity with taking benzodiazepines as well as other anxiolytics or antidepressants, which basically make, if you have mood swings throughout the day, your baseline just becomes fucking zombie. And then you're like pharmaceutical America. You know, so many people. We take like 80% of the pharmaceuticals in the world. We're only 5% of the population. You know, that's America for you. But, you know, what do you do? It is what it is. So I'm going to go back and read some of the comments here. Just give me a second, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. What's up, DB? Hey, what's up, Daniel? What's up, Andre? What's up, Ryan? How you doing? You guys are always on YouTube. You guys are losers. Get off YouTube, man. I'm kidding. Of course I'm always here, but what do you do? You got to be somewhere. Hey, the end is near. Yeah, I hope everyone's having a phenomenal day today. Franco and American. Thank you, Sean. Yep, NoFX is great. I'm going to tell you a brief story about NoFX. I was at a concert where they were playing The Decline. It was a live show in Portland at the Crystal Ballroom, and Fat Mike was done, and he flicked his pick out in the audience, and it flew between us, and nobody could find it. A couple minutes later, they were playing something else, and I was dancing around, and I looked down, and it was stuck in my belt. I had no shirt on, just my pants, and a belt on, and it was stuck between my pants and my my pants and my skin, and it was like stuck in there, and I was like, oh my god, hey, it's the pick, fuck yeah. And I still have it in my little thing, and I play bass with it. So anyway, NoFX. I wanted to say, on the side of punk rock, they're always dealing with these things: anxiety, depression, stress. Music has certain aspects which deal with these emotions in life, so when you look at punk from the outside, if you don't listen to punk, you might think that it's just brutal, hardcore, and mean. If you break down and analyze the lyrics, It's sensitive and fucking pathetic sometimes. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Same way with heavy metal. When I was 12, my parents, I remember, at least my mom, I think it was, saying that heavy metal just sounds like a bunch of noise and they're not singing any lyrics. Most parents thought that at the time. We had Tipper Gore and the PMRC that were stopping. They're the ones that put the parental advisory on albums. And sure, when you're talking about singing like Animal, Fuck Like a Beast, like Wasp did, of course you're going to have some issues with, parents who say, oh my God, my kid brought this album home and it's got this guy grabbing his crotch with a razor blade. Albums like Wasp and Motley Crue and Poison, The Big Tongue. At the time, I just want to say this, we were kids. We didn't take it seriously. We didn't think anything about sex. In fact, I listened to Motley Crue all my upbringing and didn't even really realize most of that was about sex. AC/DC, my son, he loves AC/DC the whole time growing up. He's like 25 now. But that's what he learned guitar with. All AC/DC talked about was sex. And he didn't even realize. It's like kids are innocent until their parents put that stress and weirdness into them. It's the parents that put the guilt into the children for what they do. It's pretty fucked up. It really is. Uh, yeah. Sean, and Mengelheim, philosophy and ethics over psychopathic cult leaders. Thanks. I fucking totally agree. Somebody said, what was it? It says, I would never be a Groucho Marx. I would never be a member of any group that would have me. Or I would never join any group that would have me as a member. You get the point. Um, it's a philosopher never joins groups because it's not because they don't want to. Everybody wants to belong. But when you see how full of shit everyone is and how full of shit you are, nobody wants to hear it. They want to admit that they don't want to admit that they don't know what they're talking about. And the rest of us, well, we're stuck in trying to admit that we know something, but we don't know shit. We really don't. Ryan, I'm a loser, so why don't you kill? Yeah, actually, Beck, that album, Loser, and that song, I'll never forget. I met this girl, Molly, and she had red hair. I think that was her name, Molly. Yeah. Anyway, Molly. No, I didn't even know about the drug at the time. But she was in high school. It was like my junior or senior year at this alternative school. And I'll never forget, we went to her house and I put that album on. We played it on repeat all night and snuggled. But I never really made the move because I was too stupid. I mean, this was even at like 18. I was just the most pathetic teenager. Like, I had the worst case of acne, a crazy mullet, which eventually I grew into just fully long hair. But I had no idea how to talk to women. It was my wife that had to hit on me in order to, get me to marry her. So that song, I'm a Loser, Baby, it really resonates with me. So Daniel, he says, I'm quite high on weed and I've had some tramadol because of a bad elbow. Yeah, kind of feeling me on Valium. I get a box of them. I love Valium still, but I can never find it. But tramadol is interesting. It helps people, but it can be addictive, but they pretend that it's not. So, like any opiate, I guess. I prefer kratom, but when I have a really bad pain, I don't mind taking Percocet. It's actually my favorite when I have pain. Nomad 420. Love to hear you speak. Much respect. Don't always agree, but it's cool nonetheless. I hear this a lot, my friend. A lot of people have said this to me. They said, I don't always agree. I just want to let all of you know who are here or listening to this, you don't ever have to say that. To say you don't always agree or that I don't agree with this. I totally respect that. I don't want people, like I always say, I'd be creeped out if people agreed with me on every fucking point that I say. I am honest from the heart. I talk through my lens, and it's weird because I don't edit anything down. I have an issue with jump cuts in videos. I know people do it for continuity, but I feel like it's just not for certain types of videos. Now, if you're doing like a video where it's informative or you're trying to teach somebody something, that's totally different. Yeah, jump cuts are fine. And if you don't know, a jump cut is when it just goes and it jumps to the next part where they cut out part of what they say. A lot of the times you can tell they cut out something because anybody who does it will admit they felt awkward about what they said. But let me just say this. Out of all the videos that I've uploaded that I haven't felt secure about, that I felt like, why am I uploading this fucking video? Like, it's very, I don't know. Of all the videos I've uploaded, the ones where I feel the most awkward and strange about it are the ones where I almost delete them or don't even upload them, are the ones where people are like, oh, this is your best video, or I really love this video, or this video helped me. And it's the weirdest thing because it keeps happening over and over. Maybe it's one after I've had a couple drinks too many, or, something where I just feel weird about it because, I like to be pretty straight when I'm talking. I might have a beer while I'm talking sometimes, but I'm not ever drunk. And if I am, I usually delete those, but, that's life, right? Let me read a few more comments here. Motley Crue. Yeah, I love Motley Crue. Hey, Bright. Hey, Brett. Hey, Brett, how are you doing? How many tickles? The end is near, Bright. Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Lisa says, did they take down your earlier video? No, nobody removed that. The one I made last night, I had to leave abruptly because it was just bad timing. My brain wasn't working right, and then my kids were in there still awake late, so I just deleted it because I don't feel like it was complete or worthy of uploading. So that's a perfect example of the awkward one where I feel just like, yeah, it's not worth keeping, which is very rare, honestly, for me because I usually just leave them. Yeah, everything is stress and anxiety. So yeah, back to that. As I moved through my 30s, I started learning about Eastern mysticism. I started learning about Real Folk Blues says patiently waiting for the Carpo's cannabis discussion. I gave up when cannabis became kind of weird on YouTube, and I decided it wasn't really even worth it. But when I did the cannabis channel, I was growing weed, and I had a medical card, so it was totally legal. But anyway, different story. Maybe cannabis could lead into that as a segue. Cannabis has been shown or said to be, used in a lot of spiritual practices. Like when you hear these yogis that like they smoke all this weed and they brag about it, Rastafarians. I've always just called bullshit on that, even though I've been a stoner my whole life. And I've also, I don't know, getting high is a great way to maybe see, uh, you know, I don't know. It's about balance and being honest about how much you consume. Some of these people who brag about smoking all this weed all day long, I'm like, great. Okay, so let's say you sit in a cave and you meditate, smoke a bunch of weed or take psychedelics and you see God all the time. Big fucking deal, dude. I mean, who cares? You're living in a three-dimensional reality. So people go to visit these guys in caves for what? So they can say you should be like me and sit in a cave. And I'm not saying that people don't have wisdom in these places. It's just that it's such basic bullshit, and a lot of it's been shown to be complete nonsense. So this is why my point being that I was really into Eastern mysticism and Buddhism, and I still practice many of these kind of Zen or Buddhist like practices, but it's a daily life thing. Like I said, yoga, sorry, is not wearing spandex and going to class. Yoga is a daily practice all day long, something that people continue to utilize in every aspect of their lives, including how they talk to others, how they behave, their ego, the way they carry themselves. And I'm just trying to be as humble as I can. And so what I found is these are the practices that help me with anxiety the most. A lot of folks revert to these things and start talking about positive thinking. Positive thinking does not take you very far. Positive thinking will only help you to ignore the deeper problems. So what you have to do is practice negative thinking and then learn how shitty it is and then weigh the options between them. But then you can learn to see things from a different light, not have to address positive or negative on things. They just are what they are. And it really helped me immensely to learn to stop, sit back, every time something happens that frustrates me, analyze it, and walk away from it if it doesn't serve me. And I continuously am able to do this. And what amazes me is how many people, especially on the internet, just cannot let shit go. If I comments are so taken out of not context, but taken misunderstood. If I say certain things, I realize that words carry weight, especially if they're in type, because people think that they're, attacking them, but really it's just like, no, I don't believe this. This isn't what I think. And everybody has their own opinions on things, but I think that people become a lot more stressed out and anxious when others disagree with them. You see what I mean? People get offended when you don't believe what they believe. And that's a major problem. It's just root beer, right? Keep it PC. That's the world we live in. I see stoicism up there. Let me back up a little bit. Yeah, stoicism, exactly. Where are we at here on the comments? I used weed for spiritual states. I used to go to church or into nature. No, I should back up there. I believe that cannabis can be used for spiritual states, but it shouldn't be used 24 hours a day for that. People who smoke all day long, I don't think it's very useful. Who wants to live as a guru? Good question. Some people do. They love the attention sometimes. And that's the thing. Dude, so many YouTubers try to be fucking. Oh, that's the question. Next question, DB. So, what do you think of those fake guru YouTubers like Koi Frensko? I have no idea of that person, but nothing frustrates me more than fake ass gurus on YouTube. There is one guy called. Oh, he's so famous. I can't even remember his name. He's a black dude, and he has these really inspirational videos. And he's like, I'm sure somebody will be able to name him. Dude, the guy is a fucking marketing genius, but it's bullshit. Everything he's saying is just like overproduced. Let me just tell you this. If you want a guru that's going to inspire you, anybody, it has to be just the average human. Don't worry about what they're wearing or what they're telling you they've read, or, listen to what they say face to face. I mean, I prefer to watch people who are talking to me the way I'm talking to you right now. But to each their own. There are people who want things that are cut up and produced where they're looking at the sky and they're like, oh, you too can be spiritual. Oh, by the way, get my new book. It's fine to market things. It's fine to have merchandise. It's fine to have to support yourself. But these people take fucking advantage, and it's pathetic. You got me on one now. I hate fake gurus. Not just gurus about spirituality, but evangelists who are selling you Christianity, who are just fucking completely don't even believe their own bullshit. Then you have people who are selling you these courses that are going to make you millions of dollars on YouTube. There's always somebody out there to rip you off. Saturday night with Carpo. Hey, it's not night here yet. It's only like 3. I've got to get back in the house in a while. This probably won't be a very long cast, but right now my kids are doing their particular games. My one son's playing Terraria, and yeah, it's funny that kids are growing up in a different world today. I don't even want to go into that. And then your own personal Jesus. Infinite Waters. Oh, DB says, yeah, he's another one of those YouTubers who I don't know what to make of, and I just don't want to talk shit about people. I really don't want to talk shit about any of them, but I'll just tell you this. If it's overproduced and they're selling you shit, just beware. Same with anything. I mean, true gurus are really humble, if there are any. Wouldn't want any material goods. I mean, once you've got your first million, do you really have to get richer? People just totally lose their way. It's really fucked up. The end is near. I don't like people on their high horse thinking they know it all and doing it perfectly. Yeah, me neither, man. It's absurd as well. Prince Ia. Thank you, well-being. He says Prince Ia, or EA. I don't know how to pronounce it, nor do I care. I think the guy's a total fraud. That's how I feel. I don't know, and I'm not going to say, because I don't talk bad about other people. I just say what I feel in my heart. I tell what I was endowed with as a human being. My instinct, my gut feeling tells me that the guy is completely full of shit and knows he's completely full of shit. But a lot of people believe it. Now, there is a possibility he may actually believe the bullshit that he's spewing from his mouth. But it makes me cringe when I watch him. It rubs me the wrong way, and I do not like it at all. So that's all I could say. That's one of the sides of me where I'm like, I'm a spiritual person, if you want to say that, use that term, which is so tired and worn. Um, I believe that the universe is conscious. I believe in a higher energy, but I do not believe that these people are channeling anything more than their own bullshit. Um, yeah. If they want to sit down and have a real conversation with people with alternate views, that's different. That's why we love Joe Rogan format, right? Some people, you either love or hate it, but the guests, the way that they interact, it's like totally different views, like in a live cast, not all cut up, and everything's fake. We've had so much bullshit from television for years. I'm done with the overproduced dramatic crap, personally. DB says, do you still use Kava? I haven't used it in a couple of years. I love Kava, so if I get a hold of some good stuff, I'll definitely do it. Jacob says, remember when Gabriel Kundalini used to upload videos? He still does, actually. He is Gabriel Traveler. He still uploads videos, and I watch them, and he just travels to India and all these other places. Even though he may have had kind of spiritual side to him, he was never really the guru type. I like the guy. We talked. He's come to Portland a couple of times. Right now, I think he's over in Europe or the Middle East somewhere, but maybe India. But he travels a lot, so at least he's legitimate. He's got out in the world and done some things, and he's not trying to sell himself anymore on any type of, or not anymore. I don't know if he ever really was, but yeah, I remember that guy. He's still there. You should check him out. Oh God, the next question is from Esmeralda. Have you ever seen a ghost? No, I have not. And no, I haven't seen a ghost. The end is near says, have you books you recommend? I need something good to read. Um, every time somebody asks me that question, I ask them what kind of books they prefer to read. Because I like nonfiction books, boring technical books, a lot of different things. I'm like halfway through like several different books. How about The Coddling of the American Mind? Just look it up. And there's another one. I can't remember who wrote this other one. Where is it? Anyway, I don't know. I'll have to find it sometime. There's a few good ones out there. Dun, 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 dun. Why do the poor countries have less suicides? Hey, that's funny. The calculator asks. Yeah, because they don't feel like they're burdened to compete with everyone else. When you resign your, this is my belief. When you resign yourself to saying this is life for our villages, and when you say poor countries, what you're saying is, why do people who don't have a whole bunch of money and extra means and stuff, because that's what people think of as poor, but in other countries that's not necessarily poor. That's just how things are. If you accept the way things are and you don't have to compete with your neighbor, you can work together and enjoy your life. Go out and sing with the village. We in the West work our asses off for no particular reason, and that's what adds to the stress, to the anxiety, to the depression. You really think you got to work 80 hours a week? The question is, do you even really think you have to work 40 hours a week? And why should you? In Europe, 30-hour work week is normal. We in America talk about how in Japan they work too hard, but the reality is statistics show that Americans actually work more hours. And, we think that that's somehow more work relates to being a better citizen. Really what we mean is that we can't feed our own kids unless we're working more hours. That's something's wrong with this country. Serious problems, which aren't going to be healed by my anxiety or stresses. The very few I have aren't taken away by any elections or any change in government, that's for sure. The change in our, humanity in general and the future that we have to face. So, do they get drunk? Dude, all good philosophers drink, or at least used to. Oh, God, that's a great question. Did you ever read Breaking Open the Head by Daniel Pinchbeck? I did, and it was a great book. It blew my mind at the time. And then I gave it to a friend of mine, and then he loaned it to somebody else. Or I loaned it to him, he loaned it to somebody else, and then lost it. And I thought, oh, well, that's okay. I also loaned him Terence McKenna, the one where he went to South America. I think it was, God, I can't remember the name of that one. He had a few good books, too. But around the same time, I read one called The Holographic Universe by Daniel Pinchbeck. It was fucking nuts. That one just blew my mind. I'm pretty sure it was Daniel Pinchbeck that wrote that one too. Um, there's a lot of weird books out there that really gave me new perspectives on life, for sure. Um, relationships. Yeah, I did answer. I try to answer questions when I can. What do you recommend to replace Kratom? Nothing. Kratom's the best. Nomad says, I really enjoy your live shows, answering questions. Thank you. I'm glad that you're here. True Hallucinations. Thank you. DB nailed it. True Hallucinations. Love that book. Read it every year around mushroom season. Yes, that was good. You know, they went to South America looking for ayahuasca back in the 70s, and they ran into these other tribes that there was these giant mushrooms growing on the cow patties. One thing led to another. Apparently, McKenna, or at least Terrence McKenna, he was with his brother Dennis. Terrence ended up staying up for like 2 or 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks, he said. But it's hard to believe that, but not really. I mean, the mind does weird things. And he said he went into these crazy states and saw all this shit. He talked about UFOs, aliens. It was just mind-blowing, but interesting book, that's all. The End is Near says, a roommate I had said most problems with humanity came with the invention of money, that they should change it or get rid of money. What do you think? That's a phenomenal question. No, I don't think that we can get rid of money, and I'll tell you why. Believe me, I'd like to. I think we can get rid of what we are told money is. In other words, we can get rid of paper money, which represents nothing. I would rather trade with silver and gold. I would rather have the gold standard reinstated. And if you understand the history of money, I really could spend an hour on this. I don't want to, unless you all want to hear it. But I read a book called, there's one I'm working on called Capital, which is all about capital. But another one called The Creature from Jekyll Island. And it's a big-ass book. And I got most of the way through it. But it's crazy long, and it talks about the Federal Reserve and when the money was created. How it's printed and why it's printed. Inflation is basically a result of printing too much money. So what we're doing right now during COVID is printing a lot more money. It's just going to make your dollar worth less. The same reason your parents, my parents anyway, could buy candy bars for a dime. And when I was a kid, candy bars were 35 cents, and now they're like $1. 3 times more. Everything's 3 times more than when I was a kid. It's called the hidden tax, inflation. I think that money is really important, but we have to have a method of exchange that is fair and balanced. This is why I'm just do not give a shit about cryptocurrency at all. I give no faith in it. I know some people are really tied up in it. I think that if there was a major solar flare and a CME, it would take out the grid. It could blow out all kinds of servers. You could fucking lose that overnight. In other words, if there's a catastrophe, at least people will take cash for a while. If you don't have a computer, you can't use Bitcoin. And I fear probably the power going out more than anything. So it's funny money, but so is paper money. So holding gold and silver might be your best bet, in my opinion. But all through history, we've traded anything. In the Pacific Northwest, we traded wampum. The Native Americans did. Shells. We always needed some form of trade because the apples are ready at a different time than the beef, things like that. And so we had, it's complicated, so I'll just leave it at that one. So I think money's important, but Dermot, hey Dermot, greetings from the Isle of Man. How you doing? Would you take the COVID vaccine? He asked. No, I'm not taking it. I might take it if it got horrible in the far future and the vaccine had been out for a couple of years and had been shown to be relatively safe, and people who have taken it for a couple of years, I might take it, only if I needed to. But right now, no. Absolutely not. For whom did you vote? Why do you have to ask that? You know how divisive that is. And is it not obvious? I obviously didn't vote for Trump. DB says, I have all his books, including him and his brother's Grow Guide, which had an old note from someone who grew them back. Yeah, they're fucking, there's a lot of really good books out there about that shit. Nomad says, what do you think of Oregon's new drug laws? I said, I'm fucking double thumbs up. I I believe in legalizing all drugs. That's my belief. Is it eliminates that aspect of society we spend billions of dollars on we don't need to, and putting people in jail unnecessarily. So, um, would be wild with no money. Yeah, that's true. Buy Bitcoin. Yeah, right. No, no thanks. You know, the thing about Bitcoin is there was a time when it dropped, like, in a relatively short time to like way less than it was, say even half. If that happens, it's called volatility. That means that somebody out there bought it thinking it was going to keep going up, and then they lost half their money overnight. So that's just like buying stocks. Bitcoin is like stocks to me. Hi Carpo, says Cat. Hi Cat, how you doing? Money isn't a problem, the system is. Yep, you absolutely got that one right. You don't need faith, you need to understand it. I don't I understand power, and I understand servers and how mining Bitcoin works. It's not for me. Once it's dropped, Bitcoin will stay after a solar flare. Hey man, invest in Bitcoin if you want, but you can't eat Bitcoin. One of the things I invest in are seeds, knowledge, and know-how, as well as dry food and things for things I can actually eat after a disaster. The thing is, in order to get your Bitcoin, you have to have an account, which means you have to have a bank that's functioning. I think people put way too much faith in the system. For me, I love silver coins if I can buy anything to invest. I don't have much money for that shit, but if I had like millions of dollars to invest, I'd probably buy solid silver and I'd store that silver, as a physical entity. It makes much more sense to me. If people are benefiting on Bitcoin, that means that others are losing on Bitcoin. And I've looked into the mining and what it's actually doing, and it's just hokey. I don't like it. It's another pyramid bullshit to me. I don't buy it. Kanye? Andre. Kanye, really? Greetings from Florida, says Aaron. The Swamps and Gators. Hey, how you doing, man? Stardust says, "Hi Carpo, did you have some experience with lucid dreaming?" Um, I did, and I made a video about it. You might want to watch that one, because if I get to talking about lucid dreaming, I'll go on and on. I used to do it at least once or twice a week, and it was crazy. I learned to fly, taught myself to fly in my dreams, and you're welcome to check those out. Pure Life says, "What's up, Carpo?" Hey, Pure Life, how you doing? George Wachowski. Dude, y'all... Okay, George Wachowski is like one of my oldest subscribers. He's been with me. I subscribed to his channel too from the very beginning, way back in like 2010 or 11, maybe 2011. It's nuts. I think George lives up by Highway 30, Columbia, northwest Portland, somewhere out there, if I'm not mistaken. But it's been a long time, and it's crazy to see people on YouTube who have been with me the whole time. And yeah, I hope you're doing well, my friend. I really do. I wish we could go back to the 80s. This year sucks, dude. Yeah, Witch in the Woods, I agree with you. I'll drink to that. I'll drink the rest of my last beer to that. Really the only one I've had. But, it's been a rough year for a lot of us. Dealing with 2 kids at home that are, doing remote learning. Then also my oldest son here, who's a guitarist and likes to play his music loud. And then me and my wife and all of us trying to go camping and coordinate and live in a small house. I'm grateful for everything that I have. But this year has really sucked in a lot of ways for a lot of people. And I don't want to say it's about to get worse, but it's about to get a lot worse. This winter's going to be nasty. So either, I don't even want to talk about that shit. It's going to be a nasty winter. Bartering. Yeah, I agree with bartering. Well-being says, cryptos are a waste of energy. Yes, I would like to just leave on that final note about cryptocurrency. They consume massive amounts of energy to mine for cryptocurrency. In fact, some of these mining groups went to small towns that had cheaper energy and set up shop there, and they were actually banned from it because they had these huge warehouses which were draining the city's energy supply and causing blackouts because they were trying to mine all this cryptocurrency. And they're like foreign-owned companies. It's really ridiculous. These crazy mining operations are probably the most, not just dangerous and destructive to the environment through the energy they consume, but the manufacturing process of them in general. Humans need to back the fuck off from technology. Seriously. We've gone way too far. He says they do have gold-backed crypto, though. Well, that's great. I like physical gold, though. I don't believe in gold certificates or gold standards. If the banks close, you can't go get anything. So, look at a Mad Max future, the worst case scenario. If you have a stack of silver coins, you're like, dude, it's real silver. It's pretty easy to figure out if it's real silver or not. You know, it's marked, stamped. People are willing to take that risk for that kind of shit because they at least might be able to use it. But if you really want to save something for the future, buy seeds in like packaged. I have these in the canisters, these, you know, metal vacuum sealed canisters with, you know, seeds that'll last like, you know, 10, 15 years. After a disaster, you might really just want to grow a garden. That's my thought. Invest in tools and materials, George says. Scrounging works wonders. Yeah, that's right. As a carpenter, I have all the tools I need. But I feel like if anything happened that was bad enough, I would be able to find the materials and tools everywhere. Most people are just incompetent to even use the tools. It's crazy. And if there was no power, what would you do, right? Somebody says, so who did you vote for? Sleepy Joe or Kanyesis? Haha, yeah, hilarious. I'm just so tired of division, so I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but I voted for Biden just to get that douchebag out of office. But I just don't like Biden. I had to make a choice, but I really didn't. I thought about not even voting, honestly. I don't have much faith in the system, but I felt like it wasn't that any president's going to make any particular decisions that are going to benefit us, because none of them, they rarely do. But rather, I wanted the American people, I realized how much the American people are affected by what a leader says. And it was my own foolishness for not saying this before. I knew that people were inspired by what a leader said, but I didn't realize they could be inspired to hate and division over, you know, such incendiary tactics. So, at least with Biden in there, I'd rather him sleep in office for 4 years. That's all I could say. Hopefully he sleeps for 4 years. Hopefully Kamala sleeps for 4 years. Hopefully they all fall asleep and nothing gets done, because we'd probably do better as an American people without all of them. Nomad says, any experience with the new LSD analogs? No. I did ALLAD, which is AL-LAD. And I think, yeah, that was years back. It was okay. But I don't have much time to keep consuming different ones, so I just stick to what I know. Financing, management, Carpo. Hey, Bright77, how are you doing? ALD52 is fantastic in 1P. Yeah, I don't know, man. I have a rare opportunity to consume psychedelics, so I always stick to what I know, and I prefer mushrooms. $1984 almost, huh? Ryan says, I don't vote. I never have. I have zero faith in the system. I respect that. I didn't vote most of the time. Honestly, I don't even know how I feel about it today. I really don't. CC says, Carpo, do you still play guitar? I've listened to a few of your songs and they're really good. Well, fuck yeah, man. Appreciate that. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. You know, my brother's a guitarist and he's really good. I've shared my songs with him before. He doesn't seem to give a shit. Most people don't think mine are very good, so when somebody says that, it's like, right on. I put a little bit of effort into it, and I've written 2 or 3 songs this month, and I actually started playing keyboard. I told myself at the beginning of 2020, I'm going to learn to draw. I'm going to teach myself to draw and teach myself to play keyboard. And I got a little ways and didn't do anything. And then about 2 weeks ago, I started playing keyboard again, and I learned like 4 chords that just blend together. It's a natural feel. I'm a guitarist for years, so I can play all the chords on guitar, so of course I can learn keyboard. But I haven't even, you know, it's just taken me a while. But yeah, I've been learning to play keyboard, and I still play guitar, and I have an 8-track out here. I showed my music studio yesterday on a video I did, and I've been recording onto that 8-track, making songs, and not uploading them to YouTube anymore because they're so rough. It's embarrassing. I want to do a full album, and I'm hoping. So here's how it is. I want to make an album with like 15 songs, 10 songs, 15 songs, whatever I can do. I have a lot of songs I've written. Select some of the best ones, record it, then put it up on Bandcamp, and let people pick their own price and try to get people to contribute for it, because I had put a lot of years into the music I'd played like any other musician, but not as much time as a lot of musicians have, where it's day in, day out. But it accumulates over the last 30 years I've played guitar. So it's like one of the songs I wrote when I was like 14 years old. And I'm like, it's still one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. And I really want to do a great version of it. I'm very impatient when it comes to recording. One last word about Bitcoin. Has the new max cap of 21 mil. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't do Bitcoin. That's all. I mean, no offense. Stardust says, I know everyone is different, but if there's one favorite herb or natural medicine you like for your health, what would it be? For my health, that's a tricky one, because health also deals with the mind. So in that case, I'd probably say it would have to be either cannabis or kratom. I love kratom, and I love cannabis. So for my mental health, one of those. Oh. The End is Near says, which things do you collect? I have a mineral and gemstone collection, model cars, and some types of comic books. My friend, I collect everything. It's embarrassing. I'm an artist, and I make jewelry out of like resin, so I collect the stuff I make as well as the stuff I bought. I collect stereo equipment, speakers. I used to collect baseball cards when I was young. I don't, of course, anymore, but I've had a lot of collections. I collect books. I collect, what else do I collect back here? Guitar equipment, things like that. Camera stuff. I collect rocks, gems, and minerals. I have a lot of cool rocks. Hold on, I'll grab one. I think it's up here. I thought it was up here, but I have this really cool stone that, it's in the house. That's all right. It's like a piece of fluorite combined with selenite and like crystal quartz, all these different things, like some pyrite blended in, and it's just the coolest stone that I bought for really cheap from a roadside vendor like down the way, a guy named Flick. He had a place called Flick's Rocks. But anyway, I'm fascinated with gems and minerals, and I need one of those big display cases with glass shelves to put them in. And then just wait for a fucking earthquake, right? So yeah, I collect a lot of stuff. George says, we have no leaders, just puppets that take money for favors. A lot of the time this is true, but I have to at least admit to myself that some politicians are trying. By the time they get to the White House, it's over, though. That's the thing, I gotta have some faith, but I agree with you. Still agree with you. It's fucked. Politics suck. Somebody says, do you have any synths? Synthesizers? No, that's my dream. I have 2 keyboards that aren't that great. My dream is to have a nice Moog, the drummer we had in our old band, and I've uploaded a couple of those to YouTube. The band was Related Material or Time to Spare, because we changed it, but the guy, our drummer, played a synth at the same time, and he was just so fucking good. And even a small Moog, I really want a high quality synthesizer, and I think I could have the most fun with that. Musicians tend to look too much at pedals and different switches, and as a musician, I just want something simple, but a Moog is super complicated. But I still want one because I can make sounds on that I couldn't make anywhere else. Plug directly into my recorder, just go to town. So yeah, don't make me dream. I can't afford a synth. Maybe one day. Luke says, I saw Spangle. Right on. I love Spangle. I just have my LP back here. The triple gatefold from Museum of Consciousness, I think it is. No? Is that their latest one? Anyway, it's a great album. They're all great albums. Flower Tower says, peace, peace. AC says, told you I liked your song recently. I got the haunting aurora to it, which I enjoy. Well, thank you. Spangle. Yeah, I really love playing music and I love listening to music. It's probably my favorite thing. And honestly, when I'm talking about stress, I mean, that's one of the greatest things. George says, I got a tornado warning. Looks like I'm headed to the workshop. No shit. Are you kidding me, George? See, George doesn't live too far from me, I don't think. And it's looking really nasty outside. And we've had more tornadoes in the Pacific Northwest than ever before. But you know, the weather's not changing. Nothing's ever changing. You know how people are. Complete denial that the weather is changing. I have several, like two or three different bass guitars and a couple acoustics. I've got my 12 string. Maybe I'll play a song for you guys one day, but honestly, I'm still a little bit shy and it's embarrassing to even play music. So I might record some once in a while, but then I just don't upload it a lot of the time. I guess it's been about an hour, so I should probably finish up my video here. I'm trying to keep them to an hour or less to make it reasonable, but I'd really like to come back and do another one tonight where I'm more organized. Yeah, it's raining pretty good out there. Honestly, a tornado might be interesting. It would be a perfect way to top off 2020, right? So now, if any of you have any simple questions, I'm going to give 10 minutes to questions that people might have had for me in the past that don't want to ask. I know there's only 50 people, but that's 50 people. It's really weird because I don't take it for granted. I think of 10 people lined up in, you know, 5 rows, like watching me. It's really weird. You know, I think a lot of YouTubers or anybody who does any type of live thing, because this is new to me. I don't do live broadcasts. It's weird. But anybody who doesn't appreciate the fact that they might have thousands of people watching them, it's like you feel like you've got to be at your best game, right? Like you've got to talk about things that matter. And I'm so grateful that I know that you, my subscribers mostly, don't give a shit about all that crap. You just want to talk about life. It's like having a 50 people sitting around the campfire eating mushrooms together and talking about life, right? That might sound ridiculous, but that's how I feel about it. It's weird. And so we have ups and downs. We have stressful moments. We have anxiety. We have depression. And I know some of my subscribers, I've even had some, you know, over 10 years, a lot of subscribers have left my channel because they get mad at me because I don't agree with them over something or maybe I offend them. My apologies if I have. I mean, I can always tell. It's obvious. Some people will comment all the time and then all of a sudden they stop commenting. But they still comment elsewhere because you see them on your other people you watch's videos. And you're like, well, you know, they just lost interest. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's the beauty. I do the same thing. I see a channel for a long time and I become like, oh God, this guy's annoying me now. Don't watch it for a while. Um, but we all misunderstand each other. This is something important to remember. It's really easy for you to misunderstand my intentions when I'm sitting here. Like this guy that I watched his videos the other day, I'd never seen him before. I thought he was someone else. I'm not going to say any names. I just watched him. He seemed really angry, you know, and I left a comment on his video and said, hey, man, you know, I don't remember exactly what I said, but something to the effect of, yeah, life it's kind of fucked up year. Everybody's having hard shit, but remember, don't let the shit get to you. Basically, I was just saying, don't be affected by the external bullshit. You can, you know, fight past it. We're in control of our own emotions. And they left a comment on one of my videos, like, I don't need your pep talk on my video. Or it was started out by the way, I don't need your pep talk on my videos, yada yada. And I was like, what the fuck is with this guy? And I considered, watched a couple more of his videos and realized this guy is just angry at the world right now. You know, one of the videos was about loneliness and being sad. And it's like the way that people take their aggressions out on one another because they disagree over a certain point is pretty pathetic. But at the same time, it's to be expected because we're all insecure. We don't know how to talk to one another and we expect the worst. So rather than, you know, the old days when we could just have a conversation with one another, it's like people feel like they have to come across as the champion. It's like, it's hard because you want to step up, say how you feel, but at the same time, you realize sometimes it's okay to admit that you're just weak, that you're sensitive, that you get triggered by things, that you're annoyed by other people's bullshit. Is there something wrong with admitting that we give a shit? So, anyway, I asked for questions. I just got to, just had to get that off my chest, talking about, in general, how we misunderstand each other. My brother and I, we were arguing through text. Not arguing, but it just seemed that way. I was like, why is he being so confrontational? And then I realized after we talked that it wasn't that way at all. He thought the same thing about me. Like, you think that you think that you're pissing the other person off, or that they're pissing you off for some reason, and you find out that that's not what's going on at all. So imagine how many of your comments get misunderstood, especially when you mean well, online, to your family, to your friends. You know, I have certain people that won't even talk to me anymore because I pissed them off because of my own cockiness and my own beliefs. I'm sure all of you have lost somebody in your life for that same reason, right? So I should back up here. We got tornado coming. A few. Okay, the end is near. Okay, cabinets. Yeah, cabinets. Yeah, actually, I'm a carpenter, so I could make cabinets. Um, Spokane. Play a Dead song? No, I do. I have a couple Dead songs I uploaded, but right now I don't feel like I'm polished enough. I haven't played acoustic in a while. I've been playing my new acoustic bass, but I haven't really. Stardust says, if you could visit any place on Earth, which would it be? You know, the answer to that would be the inside of the Great Pyramid. Not Egypt or anywhere else. I want to be inside the Great Pyramid. The end is near said, should humor have limits? No, absolutely not. I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe anybody should tell anybody else what they can and can't say. But it is what it is. It's the world we're living in right now. People feel very strongly about what other people say. I think that the best humor is unrestricted humor. If George Carlin lived today, he would be ridiculed. But he's a genius because it was the 80s, right? 70s, 80s. Humor only has limits because these people that I used to think I was one of, the liberals, actually tell people what they can and can't make jokes about. And if you can't make jokes about race and differences in gender and make a joke about a transvestite, it's become so absurd that people have become so sensitive that because you can't fight what people say, regardless of how you feel. And that's a strong belief I have, and it's not the way I've always felt. It took me a few years of talking with people to realize this, to say, okay, I'm coming around. I see how people, why, because what made me see the other side of this is people feel so strongly against PC culture that I absolutely had to I had to admit to myself that the left has gone too far, and that's happened over the last few years. But it doesn't mean that I've gone to the right. Don't worry, that's not where I'm at. Okay, the next question. Cool, hang out with people without risk. Yeah, exactly, without risk. Why not? Play a dead tape? No. Well, I could, but I'm not going to be in here that long, I don't think. I got to go in the house for a while. I am going to come back this evening and do another one. So, Luke says, do you think what's happening right now is about a virus? That's a very vague question, no offense. I think that what's happening right now is definitely affected by the virus, but a lot of people are taking it over the top. But yes, I believe that hospitals can be overwhelmed. It's happened in many places already. It's happening right now. Some countries are treating people in their cars with oxygen. And yes, I know a lot of people like to say, well, it's only 97%. That means millions of people will still die. It means that people will be sitting out in their cars in the parking lot dying, not being able to breathe, because we don't have hospital beds for them, because the virus has to be worked through the system. So I think that we're just overreacting in a lot of places, trying to make a blanket ban. So I don't agree with locking down states and all that shit, or businesses. I think people need to be, at this point, responsible for themselves, because the spread's going to come through family gatherings. You guys just wait. Christmas time is going to be dark as fuck, but we'll all be here together, hopefully, right? Creepy Kiddo says, what is your hair care routine? Oh, man, I don't have one. I have it in a braid right now, but I shampoo it lightly about once to twice a month, but I condition it every time, every other time I take a shower, few times a week, a couple times a week. I think maybe condition it twice a week. It helps to rinse stuff out, but I do not shampoo it because it pulls the natural oils out. I prefer to stick to the no poo method unless I've been out doing some heavy hiking or sweating a lot or tripping balls where I'm sweating like crazy or rolling or something. um, Next question. Mushrooms. Lisa says, what do you wish you could have done they haven't been able to do yet? That's a travel to the other side of the universe. Does it have to be something other people have already done? Honestly, I'm pretty content. I don't really have any big dreams. I know that adrenaline rushes are short lived and everything loses its luster. All that matters to me mostly is just having family with me and friends that I can talk to once in a while. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one, I guess. Mushrooms. Bing says, shrooming hard right now. Are you really? Dude, are you tripping, bro? Dude. I hate it when people do that shit. The Alchemist. Have you ever tried properly prepared amanitas? No, I have not. I'm kind of scared of those. We're like animals. Yes, we are. Jake says, how do you feel about what's going on in San Francisco and the drug problems they're having? Didn't they decriminalize drugs, or do you think there's more to it? Not that I'm against it, a bit curious. Yes, there's much more to it. No, I don't think San Francisco decriminalized drugs, but if they did, I was totally unaware of that. Portland or Oregon is the first state to decriminalize drugs. If San Fran did it, I'm not aware of that. But I do know that San Francisco has much bigger problems. It's a rent control problem, a homelessness problem. California has half the homeless people in the nation. But this really comes down to a societal problem that is based on classism. And I'm not going to go any deeper into that because it's an endless discussion. It really is. I don't like to compare, cities because they're all unique, or states. I mean, decriminalizing for what it's worth, or legalizing is much worth. It's immensely worth it because it eliminates all of the costs of sending people to prison, and it doesn't increase drug use. That's the thing. People will always use, but there's less overdoses, less burdens when you don't have to put it on the prison system for arresting a guy for getting high. That's how I feel anyway. Manic Murph says, "What's up, Carpo? What's up, Murph? How you doing? Love the munchies." Carlin is the man. Yes, he is. Next question says, "What did you see in the remains in the other realms?" Story time. Nope, can't go there right now. That's a secret. I can't tell you what I saw in the other places. It's a secret. Carpo, do you have super chat? No, I do not, because then you have to enable like AdSense, and I don't have that. And then they take a bunch of the money for PayPal, and YouTube. They just eat up all the funds when people donate to you. So it's just like, fuck it. I just have a Patreon. People can donate. I was gonna set up a PayPal link if people wanted to donate, but maybe I'll do that next time. I don't know. Let's see, where are we at here? Hey, Bright. What's going on here? Not much. We're just talking about stuff. The sound is a bit muffled compared to the other live chats I've looked at. Can it be made better? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if I can improve the sound quality, but I'm about to go. It's almost over. I'm using my phone because I don't really have, a good computer. A favorite meal or food is a good question. I don't have one really, but I am getting kind of hungry, so I think it's about time to go. I wanted to tell y'all thanks for coming. It's enjoyable to talk to a lot of people, and be able to hang out for a bit. But I've got the kids in the house and they probably want some dinner. Sounds like it's pouring rain out there, and George Wachowski probably has a tornado, so I got to go save his life. And so, what time is it? It's 4:54 here Pacific time. It's 5. I'm guessing if I'm gonna come back, it'll probably be later this evening in 4 to 5 hours. But a lot of people will be asleep. But I might just work on something I've been writing. And either way, it's been pretty awesome. It's been cool, and I appreciate everybody coming. Peace. Oh wait, hit the fucking like button, dude. What are you doing? Why didn't you hit the like button? I told you. I don't know why people have to say that, but it seems like it does make a difference for the YouTube algorithm. So I'll take a bong hit while I wait. God, the internet is so stupid. Seriously, social media is such a fucking joke. Smash the like button. It's just like, whatever. Anyway, it's been real, guys. Peace and love. I'll talk to you tonight, maybe.